I still remember the first night I agreed to do the late shift at the facility outside town. It wasn't supposed to feel like anything unusual. Just a quiet job, empty hallways, blinking monitors, and the soft of machines keeping everything alive while the world slept. The building sat alone beyond the last stretch of road, where the streetlights stopped working properly, and the fog seemed to settle permanently, like it had nowhere else to go. When I arrived, the air felt strangely still, like even sound didn't want to enter that place. The security guard didn't speak much, just handed me a worn badge and pointed toward the long corridor that led deeper inside. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead in slow, uneven pulses, as if the building was breathing in its own rhythm. I told myself it was just fatigue when I started noticing small things. Doors that were already slightly open, footsteps that didn't match mine, the faint impression that someone was standing just out of sight, always behind glass, always gone when I turned around. By midnight, the monitors began showing rooms that weren't on any of the facility maps. Empty hallways I had never walked through. Shadows moving in places where motion shouldn't exist. And every time I radio control, I only heard static, followed by breathing that wasn't mine. I should have left before the clock struck 2. But something about that place made leaving feel like a thought I could no longer fully trust. That's when I saw it. It was winter when I took the night shift. Cold air pressed against the facility walls like something leaning in. The building stood alone past the industrial road, wrapped in fog that never really moved. Just hung there, thick, pale, quiet. Inside, the lights hummed low. Not bright, not dark, something in between. My first shift started at 11 p.m. I remember checking the clock on the wall. Plastic frame. Slight crack near the edge. The second hand moved too slowly, like it was tired. Then it jumped. Not forward, backward. 11 p.m. again. I blinked once. The clock did not change. The room stayed the same. Same fluorescent buzz. Same distant pipe ticking behind the walls. I wrote it off as adjustment. New place. Long night ahead. But the system logs didn't agree. On the monitor, the security feed showed motion recorded at 11:07 p.m. Footage of me standing up, walking toward the hallway. Except I hadn't moved. I was still sitting, watching myself leave. The log timestamp flickered, then reset. 11 p.m. Again, a second entry appeared beneath the first. Shift initialized. But I had already been here. I think. The hallway light outside the control room flickered softly, like breathing through broken glass. That's when I heard footsteps. Behind me, slow, controlled, familiar. I turned. A co-worker stood there. He looked tired in a way that didn't match the night. Pale face. Uniform pressed too clean, like it had never been worn before. "You're late," he said quietly. But I knew every name on the roster. He wasn't on it. He never had been. When I checked the printed shift sheet, his name appeared in the third slot. Ink still wet. No one adds names at 11:03 p.m. The clock ticked, then jumped again. 11 p.m. Same hour, same breath of silence. And somewhere in the building, a door opened that I had not heard unlock. The shift never moved forward. It only repeated, like the building refused to start, or refused to end. And I began to understand I was not arriving at work. I was being inserted into an hour that had already happened, over and over. The office tower was older than the records claimed. Concrete walls, stained glass panels that never reflected the outside correctly. The elevator system had been temporarily restricted for night use. That was what they said, but it still moved, even when no one pressed a button. I was stationed at the ground floor security desk that night. The elevator dinged at 12:13 a.m. Slow, perfect, mechanical. Doors opened, and people were inside, standing still, too still. They didn't look at me. They didn't breathe like I did. The air inside felt colder than the hallway, like it had been sealed away for years. I checked the camera feed immediately. Empty elevator, no occupants. But I was looking at them. In front of me, I stepped closer. The figures inside didn't shift, didn't blink. One of them held a briefcase that looked wet under the light. Another had a face I almost recognized, but not from work, from somewhere else. The doors closed without warning. No button press. No movement. Just silence. Then the elevator went up. I checked the logs. It had stopped on floor 7, floor 9, floor 12. None of those floors exist in this building. There are only 8, at least on paper. Between movements, I heard something. Whispering. Not words at first. Just breath shaped like speech. Coming from inside the elevator shaft. Soft, layered, overlapping. Like multiple people speaking through one throat. The camera feed flickered. When it returned, the elevator was empty again. No trace. No record passengers. Only a single line in the log. Transport cycle completed. But nothing had been transported, except the feeling that the building had seen me notice, and now it was waiting for me to forget. The warehouse control room was always too quiet. Even the air felt monitored. Dozens of screens lined the wall, each showing a different angle of storage aisles. Boxes stacked like sleeping bodies. Long corridors of steel and dust. My job was simple. Watch. Report. Stay awake. At 1:42 a.m., camera 6 shifted. Not the image. The perspective. I saw myself. Sitting in the control chair. From another angle. From behind the ceiling corner. I had never noticed before. My real body froze. The screen version of me blinked. Slowly. Too slowly. Then it turned its head slightly, like it knew it was being observed. I checked camera 6 feed source. Normal warehouse aisle. Empty. But on the monitor, I was still there. Sitting. Breathing. Watching myself. One of the other cameras flickered. Then another. All of them slowly began to drift toward my face. Not the room. Not the warehouse. Me. The screens were no longer observing the facility. They were observing me observing them. A feedback loop forming in silence. My reflection on screen leaned closer. Just slightly. Enough that I could see my own eyes not matching my movement. The recorded version smiled. I did not. The logs updated automatically. Operator engagement detected. But I hadn't engaged anything. Something had engaged me. And then the realization settled in slowly, like dust falling through still air. These were not surveillance cameras. They were watching systems. And I was not the operator anymore. I was the subject being confirmed. The hospital was supposed to be simple. 2 floors. Emergency wing. Storage basement. Nothing more. But during my night rounds, I noticed a door that didn't belong. It was between room 12 and the supply closet. Plain metal. No number at first. Then it had 1. 00. I checked the map. There is no room 00. When I looked back, the number was gone. Just blank metal. I looked away for only a second. It returned. Each time I tried to confirm it, it changed, like it refused to be seen directly. Inside, faint sounds. Monitors beeping. A distant cough. Hospital sounds. But no patients were registered. No admissions. No records. Nurses walked past sometimes. They would enter the room, then never exit. When I followed, the room was empty. Completely. But charts began appearing at the nurse station. My name. Vitals recorded. Times I was not inside. I stopped checking after the 3rd chart, because the handwriting matched mine, and I had not written anything. The factory intercom only activates after midnight. Never before. Never during the day. At 12 a.m. sharp, the speakers crackle. A soft inhale through static. Then a voice. Calm. Structured. Not human. Continue operation. There are no operations scheduled at night. The machines are powered down. Still workers move. Without instruction. Without memory of receiving instruction. I watched one man tighten bolts on an empty conveyor belt. No parts. No motion. Just obedience. The intercom spoke again. The voice changed slightly. Not tone, but presence. Like multiple people speaking through one rhythm. The static behind it carried something else. Not noise. Screaming shaped into silence. Masked so carefully it almost sounded like airflow. Production must continue. Even if the facility is empty. Even if no one remains to hear it. I looked around the floor. Half the machines were running. No operators. No input. just motion continuing itself. And I realized something that made my hands go cold. The instructions were not for workers. They were for the building. And the building never stopped listening. The night shift starts at 11 p.m. Cold fluorescent light hums above the security desk, soft and uneven, like it's breathing through old wires. The air smells faintly of damp paper and warm dust from events. I arrive early like always, but the break room already has someone inside. 2 guards in identical uniforms sit quietly, sipping coffee that looks freshly poured. The cups are already warm. Steam rises, steady and patient, like it's been waiting for us. No one questions it anymore. At the desk, the shift reports are already printed. My name is on them, signed in handwriting I don't recognize. The previous shift is never listed as leaving. It simply continues. Outside the glass, the security post driveway stays empty. No arrivals, no departures. Just headlights that never fully form. Time cards slide into the machine by themselves. Soft clicks echo in the quiet. Each punch feels slightly out of sync with my own heartbeat. On the monitor wall, something flickers, a stairwell camera feed. It shows a descent that shouldn't exist in this building. Each flight of stairs goes further down than the structure allows. Emergency lights blink broken numbers. Floors that don't belong to any map. Far below, voices rise through the concrete. Familiar voices. Calling names I almost remember being called. When I look directly at the stairwell feed, it resets to normal. But when I look away, it continues downward again. So I stop looking at it. A hallway runs beside the control room. Long, too long. The walls shift when I pass. Slow expansion. Slow contraction. Like something deep inside is breathing through plaster and steel. The ceiling vents exhale soft rhythmic air. And out, the lights dim with each breath. No one walks that hallway alone anymore. The monitor behind me changes without input. Now it shows tomorrow. A maintenance accident occurs at 2:14 a.m. A guard slips near the west wing doors. It happens exactly as displayed. We try to stop it once. The monitor updates. A different accident replaces it. We stop trying after the 3rd night. Then the screen begins showing my apartment. My bed. My table. My reflection sitting where I shouldn't be. A future version of me turns toward the camera. No expression. Just a slow shake of the head. The feed cuts out on its own. In the break room, the same people are still there. Still drinking. Still quiet. The clock above them doesn't move correctly. It never shows how long they've been sitting. Food appears on the table. Without preparation. Warm sandwiches. Fresh soup. Steam rising too perfectly. If I ask when it was made, no one answers. If I ask twice, the conversation resets. On the wall beside them, a radio crackles. It is not tuned. Still, voices come through. Multiple shifts overlapping at once. Different tones. Same location. Some say I am already gone. Some say I never arrived. Static repeats my name in broken rhythm. Soft, calm, certain. The signal gets stronger when we unplug it. A maintenance door appears on the far wall one night. No one remembers installing it. It opens into solid structure. But something knocks from inside the wall. Slow, patient, like it knows we are listening. Blueprints in the office now show extra rooms. Spaces that cannot physically exist. We stop checking the maps. At 3 a.m., the elevator opens to a new floor. It is identical to ours, but abandoned. Chairs overturned. Papers scattered. Lights flickering without power. Some of my belongings are there. From days I haven't lived yet. Time feels heavier in that place. Like walking through wet fabric. I leave quickly, but the exit back takes longer each time I try. The supervisor appears everywhere now. Same face. Same calm voice. Standing in rooms I never saw them enter. They never repeat instructions. They never blink at the wrong time. There are records of multiple versions of them. All active. All present. No one asks what that means anymore. At night, the alarm system activates. It is not loud. It is comforting. Soft pulses through the building like a lullaby. Everyone stops moving when it starts. Evacuation routes lead back inside. Every door loops into another hallway. Silence feels more dangerous than the sound. Outside the windows, there is only fog. No streetlights. No sky. Just a pale, unchanging night that never reacts. News screens loop the same broadcast. No updates. No change. Eventually, we stop mentioning outside at all. The attendance log updates again. An extra name appears each shift. Then another. Cameras never show them directly, but chairs shift when no one is near them. Names on the roster begin fading one by one, like ink drying into nothing. The system calls us units now. Inventory never misses a count. The hallway lights begin blinking patterns. Not random, Morse like rhythm. Slow, intentional. Some say it is warning us. Some say it is learning us. The lights respond when we feel watched. One night, my access badge unlocks everything without scanning. Doors open before I reach them. Security systems stop resisting. It feels like permission or recognition. But the exits are gone now. Only corridors remain. The intercom speaks my name every shift. Clearly, too clearly. Multiple voices layered into one sound. Instructions adjust to thoughts I haven't spoken yet. When I resist, the system corrects faster than I can decide. The cameras begin moving on their own, zooming into corners no one is supposed to notice, showing movement just before it happens. Sometimes, I see myself on the feed, from angles I was never in. At 3 a.m. again, the hallway breathes deeper. Lights dim in slow synchronization. The building feels aware now, not alive like an animal, alive like a memory that refuses to fade. The shift report prints itself one final time. My name is already signed, already continued, already part tomorrow that never arrives. I place it down gently. The paper is warm, slightly damp, and I understand, quietly, there was never a shift change at all, only the feeling of one. The power outage begins without warning. One moment the facility is humming, quiet, controlled, predictable. The next, everything drops into a heavier kind of silence. Emergency lights stutter awake in pale red pulses. The air feels colder, like the building just exhaled and never pulled the breath back in. I take the stairs because the elevators stop responding. The stairwell door clicks shut behind me. Metal cold under my palm. Slight vibration running through it, like something on the other side is pressing back. The first few flights are normal. Concrete steps, painted railings, familiar geometry. Then the numbers start changing. Floor 4 becomes floor 6. Floor 6 becomes floor 9. The emergency lights flicker, and for a fraction of a second, I see markings that don't belong to this building. Floor 17. Floor 23. Floor 31. The stairwell keeps going down. But the building above me should have ended long before that. My footsteps soften the deeper I go. Not quieter, just less certain. Like the sound is losing permission to exist. Then I hear voices. Not echoes. Direct. Close. Familiar. A co-worker's laugh from somewhere below. A supervisor calling my name in a tone I've heard at the desk. Someone asking if the shift report is ready. I stop walking. The voices stop too. When I move again, they continue like nothing happened. So I keep descending. At some point, I realize I am not counting steps anymore. The rhythm of going down becomes easier than thinking about going back. That thought should disturb me. It doesn't. When I finally reach a landing that feels like a pause, the monitor room is already waiting. No door entry. No transition. Just a wall-mounted control screen, glowing softly in the dark. It is already active. The screen shows tomorrow. A maintenance accident in the East Wing. A spilled chemical container. A man slipping exactly where the floor becomes wet. I watch it happen in silence. Then I see the attempt to prevent it. Someone moves a warning cone. Someone changes a route. Someone calls it an early. The monitor updates instantly. A new accident replaces the old one. Same time, same certainty. Different cause. The building always finds another way forward. I try to shut the screen off. It doesn't respond. Instead, it shifts. My apartment appears. Dim lights. Closed curtains. A chair slightly turned like someone just stood up from it. Then me. sitting still, watching something I can't see from this angle. The version of me on the screen slowly turns its head. It looks directly into the camera. Not surprised, not afraid, just waiting. Then it raises a hand. A small gesture, not a wave, a warning. The feed goes black without command. Behind me, the stairwell breathes. I realize I can hear it now. Not air movement. Something deeper. Walls expanding, contracting, slow structural rhythm. Like ribs under concrete skin. The hallway beyond the landing stretches longer than it should. Lights dim in waves that feel timed to that invisible breathing. Every few seconds, the vents exhale softly. Warm air, then cold air, like lungs try to remember how to work properly. I walk through it anyway, because stopping feels heavier than moving. The shift report room is already active when I arrive. No one is inside, but every terminal is printing. Pages sliding out one after another, perfectly aligned. Warm ink, slight dampness on the paper, like it was handled before I arrived. My name is on the header. My handwriting is not. The report includes conversations I haven't had yet. A note about a coffee spill I don't remember. A reference to a stairwell I descended without hesitation. A mention of a hallway that breathes. I read it once. Then again. The second time, more details appear. Names of co-workers slightly changed. Letters rearranged like the system is correcting itself mid-thought. Outside the room, footsteps pass. Slow, measured. Someone I recognize walks by the doorway, but their name tag reads something different. I step closer to the glass. They stop. For a moment, we both stand still on opposite sides of transparency. Then they continue walking, as if I was never there. The report continues printing behind me. New pages, new entries, events not yet lived. It references tomorrow's shift, and the one after that. The paper becomes warmer as I hold it, not physically hot, just aware, like it knows I've seen it. Then the final page prints. Only one line, all shifts accounted for. I look up. The room feels smaller than it did a moment ago. Or maybe I have changed position without remembering. The hallway lights outside dim in slow rhythm again. In, out, in, out. The building breathing around me, not watching, recording. I place the report back on the desk. It is already drying, already becoming part of the stack. Behind me, the stairwell door clicks once. Not opening, not closing, just acknowledging I am still here. And somewhere deep in the structure, the monitor flickers back on without needing me to look, waiting for tomorrow again. The control room is always colder than the rest of the facility. Even when the vents run warm air, even when the machines hum like they're alive, the air here stays thin and dry, like it doesn't belong to the same world outside the glass walls. I notice at every shift. The monitors are already on when I arrive. No one remembers turning them on. They just stay active now. All of them face the same direction. But only one screen matters. The central display. It flickers softly, like it is thinking before it shows anything. Then it does. Tomorrow appears. Not as a prediction. As something already recorded. A maintenance accident is displayed first tonight. East Wing Corridor. 2:14 a.m. A worker steps too fast around a corner. A spill that wasn't there a second before. I watch it happen in silence. The screen doesn't blur, doesn't hesitate. It shows it with the calm precision of memory. When I look away from it, I still see it behind my eyelids. We try to stop it the first time it appears. Someone puts up warning signs early. Someone blocks the corridor. Someone reroutes the shift schedule. The monitor updates without delay. A new version of the accident replaces the old one. Same time, different cause. A loose cable instead of spill. A slip instead of collision. A fall instead of mistake. It always arrives. Just reshaped. We stop trying to change it after the third night. The screen never punishes effort. It simply adapts. Like it already knew we would try. Like it was waiting for the attempt. Tonight, it shows something else. Not the facility. My apartment. The image is grainy at first, then stabilizes. The light is dim inside. Curtains half closed. Dust in the air caught in a slow beam from a lamp I don't remember leaving on. Everything is slightly wrong. but close enough to feel familiar. Then I see movement. A version of me sits at the table, still, not doing anything, not reacting, just waiting in a way that feels practiced. The monitor zooms in without command. My future self turns its head slightly, not toward the camera, toward me, as if it knows exactly where I'm standing right now. My throat tightens, but I don't step back. I've learned the screen reacts to attention. It prefers observation over resistance. The image shifts again. Now I'm inside the facility, walking a corridor I don't recognize. The hallway is longer than it should be. Light spaced too far apart. Shadows pooling in unnatural places. I'm holding a clipboard, reading something I cannot see from this distance. Then I stop. On the monitor, I raise my head and look directly into the camera feed. Not surprised, not confused, just aware. The version of me on screen lifts one hand, slowly, not a wave, something smaller, a signal, a warning I already understand but haven't accepted yet. The screen cuts for half a second, then changes again. Now it shows tomorrow morning. The break room. People sitting exactly where they always sit. Coffee already warm. Conversations already halfway finished before they begin. I hear faint laughter from the speakers, though nothing in the room is playing sound. The monitor overlays text beside each person. Names. Some are correct. Some are slightly altered. One of them is mine, but the spelling is off by one letter. I stare at it too long. The system responds immediately. The name corrects itself, as if noticing my attention changed it. Behind me, one of the technicians shifts uncomfortably. He doesn't speak. No one does anymore when the monitor is active, because everything spoken becomes part of what it shows next. The screen flickers again, this time slower, more deliberate. It shows the stairwell, descending, deeper than structure allows. Emergency lights blinking unfamiliar numbers that don't correspond to any floor plan. Voices echo from below, calling names. Some of them are mine. Some of them I haven't heard yet in this lifetime. The image sharpens, and I realize something. The voices are not coming from the screen. They are coming through it. Like the monitor is not showing tomorrow. It is letting tomorrow leak through. I take a step closer, without meaning to. The glass reflection shows me standing there, but my reflection is not perfectly synced. It lingers half a second behind my movement, then corrects itself. The monitor reacts. It always reacts. The stairwell scene changes again. Now I am standing at the bottom, looking upward, but the camera angle is wrong. There is no camera there. Still it sees me, and I see myself looking back. The version of me on screen mouths something. No sound, only movement. 3 words, slow enough to understand. It already happened. The screen freezes on that moment longer than usual. The control room feels quieter than before. Even the machines hesitate. Then the monitor shifts again. Now it shows nothing, just static, but not empty static, pattern static, almost like breathing. In out, the same rhythm I've started noticing in the walls. A technician reaches for the power switch, stops halfway, because the static begins forming shapes. Rooms, corridors, people standing still, then moving, then not moving again, like the building is rehearsing itself. The monitor brightens suddenly, and I feel it before I see it. It is showing me again, not tomorrow, not the facility. Me, standing in the control room, watching this exact screen, a loop inside a loop. The version of me on display turns its head slightly slower this time, like it is tired of repeating the gesture. Its eyes meet mine through layers of glass, signal, and time. And for the first time, it doesn't warn me. It just looks, as if confirming I finally understand. Nothing changes after that. The screen does not turn off. It does not continue either. It simply remains there, showing me watching it. And somewhere behind me, the real room feels less real than what is inside the glass, as if I am the reflection now, and the monitor is the original, waiting calmly for tomorrow to finish arriving. The hallway sits between 2 parts of the industrial site that no one ever names out loud. It's long, longer than it should be for what it connects. Even on maps, it looks shorter. But maps don't agree with what the body feels when it walks through it. I notice that before anything else. The air changes at the entrance. Heavier, slightly damp, like something close has just exhaled and hasn't decided to inhale again. The lights above the corridor don't stay steady. They dim in a slow, repeating rhythm, not flickering, not failing, breathing, in and out, in and out. At first I tell myself it's electrical timing, old wiring, faulty circuitry, but the pattern doesn't behave like electricity. It behaves like something remembering how to exist. The walls shift as I walk, not visibly at first, only in the edges of perception, a slight bulge outward, then a gentle pull inward, like ribs expanding beneath skin that doesn't belong to anything living. I stop once, just to be sure. The movement continues without me. The hallway doesn't care if I move or not. It keeps breathing anyway. The vents along the ceiling add their own rhythm. Soft air drawn in, soft air released. But it doesn't match the building's ventilation cycle. It matches the lights. It matches the walls. Everything in this corridor is synchronized, not by system, by something else. I start walking again. My footsteps feel quieter here, not because the sound is reduced, but because it doesn't fully register anymore, like the floor is absorbing it before it can become real. Halfway down the hall, I notice the cameras, small black domes set into the ceiling. They don't track movement like normal security systems. They linger, watching too long, waiting for something specific to happen. I avoid looking directly at them, but I can feel them adjusting anyway. Behind me, the entrance door clicks. Once, no one comes through, no one leaves. Staff avoid this hallway alone. I've heard that before. No one explained why. Now I understand they didn't need to. The reason is not something you explain. It's something you feel before you even enter. The lights dim again. A longer exhale this time. The corridor stretches visually for a moment. Just a moment. But enough to make me doubt where the end is. Or if there ever was one. The walls contract slightly as I pass. Not aggressively. More like recognition. Like the building is noticing I am inside it. And responding. I pause again. The breathing continues without me. In the silence between cycles, I hear something else. Not footsteps. Not machinery. A soft internal shifting. Like weight moving behind drywall. Slow. Deliberate. Close enough that I shouldn't be able to ignore it. But far enough that I can't locate it. The vents inhale again. This time, the air is warmer. Carrying something faint. Almost like a trace of voices passing through insulation. I stop trying to identify them. Identification feels dangerous here. The hallway reacts to attention. That much is already clear. A faint vibration runs through the floor. Not seismic, not structural. Rhythmic, matching the inhale phase. The walls expand slightly outward. Then hold. Then release. I realize I am no longer walking through a corridor. I am walking through a cycle. A body of space that does not remain still. Something in the ceiling clicks softly. The cameras tilt, not tracking me, tracking the rhythm, like they are measuring breath instead of behavior. I keep moving, because standing still feels like agreeing to be measured. The hallway grows quieter the deeper I go, but not empty, never empty. The silence here is active. It participates. Every few seconds, the lights dim in unison. Inhale. Every few seconds, they brighten slightly. Exhale. Time stops behaving like time. It becomes something closer to pulse. At one point, I think I hear my name. Not spoken clearly. Not from any direction. Just embedded in the exhale of the lights. Soft. Almost indistinguishable from air movement. I don't respond. The hallway continues breathing. Unbothered. Unchanged. The walls shift again, and this time I see it more clearly. They are not just moving. They are adjusting to me. The distance between them narrows slightly as I pass, then widens again when I hesitate, like it is learning my pace, adapting, matching. At the midpoint of the corridor, I stop completely. The breathing does not stop. It never stops. But something changes in its quality. It feels closer, more aware. The lights dim lower than before. Not darkness, just reduced observation. A softer gaze. The vents exhale slowly, and I swear I can feel pressure behind my ears, like the building is listening through the air itself. I look down the hallway. It stretches farther than I remember. Or maybe it always did. Maybe I just never noticed how much it can extend when it wants to. Behind me, the entrance feels distant now. Not physically, relationally, like it has stopped belonging to me. The walls contract again, gently, like a thought forming, then releasing. And for the first time, I understand something without it being shown to me. The hallway is not empty space. It is awareness shaped into structure. It knows when it is being crossed. It knows when it is being watched. And now it knows I know. The lights dim once more. A slow, synchronized inhale. The entire corridor feels it at the same time. Walls, ceiling, floor, air, all of it moving together. Breathing is one thing. As I stand still, I realize the most unsettling part is not the movement, it's the response. Because when I finally stop resisting the feeling of being observed, the hallway doesn't just watch back. It acknowledges me, not with sound, not with motion, but with a subtle tightening of space itself, as if the corridor has just become aware that I am aware of it. And somewhere deep in the rhythm of lights and air and shifting walls, the breathing changes slightly, slower now, measured, like it is no longer just existing around me, but with me inside it. The night clerk station is already active when I arrive. No one is inside, but the terminal screen is glowing softly, casting pale light across the empty desk, like someone has just stood up and not bothered to leave a trace behind. The printer beside it is running, slow, patient, continuous. Fresh pages slide out in neat stacks, warm to the touch when I reach them, as if they were just written, but there is no one here to write them. My shift hasn't officially started, and yet my name is already on the report. Typed cleanly at the top. Correct spelling, correct time, correct signature. Too correct. I sit down slowly. The chair is slightly warm. That detail stays with me longer than it should. The screen refreshes once. Then again, new text appears. Shift report, night cycle 14. I didn't open it. It opens itself. The first line describes a conversation I haven't had yet. A brief exchange with a co-worker about a flickering light in the west corridor. I stare at it without blinking, because I already know that conversation will happen, or it already has. The difference doesn't feel real anymore. The next paragraph lists maintenance checks I haven't performed, but I remember the sensation of doing them, the weight of the tools, the smell of metal dust in the air, the faint hum of equipment that shouldn't have been running at that hour. It is all there, written down before I confirm it happened. My co-workers' names appear next. One of them is slightly off. A single letter changed. I feel a small, uncomfortable pull in my memory when I see it, like something trying to correct itself inside my head. The correction happens instantly. The name on the screen shifts, becomes familiar again, as if it was never wrong. I swallow without realizing my throat is dry. The printer continues. More pages, each one warmer than the last. I flip through them carefully. Events outside the building are referenced. A weather change I didn't notice. A news update I never heard. A mention of traffic outside the facility gates. Things I have no access to, yet they are documented in my report. As if the system is filling in the world for me. Not asking, deciding. I look up at the monitor above the desk. It is not showing security feeds tonight. Just a blank screen with occasional static pulses. Soft, rhythmic, like breathing through electricity. In, out, in, out. The printer pauses for half a second, then resumes. A new section prints. Incident summary. My eyes tighten slightly as I read. It describes a moment that has not occurred yet. A spill in the break corridor. A delayed response. A conversation I will have in exactly 3 hours that I have not chosen to have. I feel something shift in my chest. Not fear. Something quieter. Acceptance trying to form too early. I try to set the paper down. My hand hesitates. Because I realize something. It is damp. Slightly. Warmly damp. Like it was held too close to breath. Like it absorbed something from the air before I touched it. I let it go slowly. The paper settles back onto the desk, but it doesn't cool. It stays warm, as if it remembers being written. The screen updates again. Names change. Not all at once. Just small adjustments. One co-worker loses a letter. Another gains one. A new name appears at the bottom of the list. No employee ID. No record. Just a presence that the system acknowledges as valid. I stare at it too long. The cursor blinks beside it. Patient. Waiting. As if expecting me to recognize it. Behind me, the office clock ticks once. Then hesitates. Then corrects itself. The time shifts forward by 2 minutes without movement. I don't remember hearing it move. The printer stops. Silence spreads into the room like a soft spill. Then one final page slides out. No header. No timestamp. Just a single paragraph. It describes tomorrow's shift before it begins. Not in detail. In certainty. It lists tasks I will complete without hesitation. People I will speak to without surprise. And at the end, it includes a note. Personal observation. My name appears again. But this time it is followed by something I have never seen in a report before. A description of my behavior outside the building. Not what I did, but how I will feel while doing it. As if the system has access to me beyond this place. I press my fingertips against the edge of the paper. It is warmer now. Almost body temperature. I look around the empty room. The chair behind me is still slightly indented, as if someone has just stood up from it again, but I have been sitting the entire time. The monitor flickers once, and for a brief moment, I see the cursor move on its own. Typing, slowly, carefully, my name fills the screen again, followed by a blank line, then another, like it is waiting for me to continue myself. I realize then what the shift report actually is. It is not documenting what happened. It is deciding what will. And the more I read it, the less I remember choosing anything outside of it. The printer hums softly again, even though it is empty, as if preparing for the next version of me. I sit very still. Not because I want to, because moving feels like editing something that is already finished. The paper in my hands remains warm. And I understand, quietly, without needing it written again, the report was never being written about the shift. It was writing the shift about me. The maintenance corridor is supposed to end at the utility junction. But tonight, it extends one step further than the map allows. The sealed door is already there. Old paint. No signage. Just a metal handle that feels slightly warm, like it has been held recently. I turn it. It rotates smoothly. But instead of resistance or a latch, there's only solid wall behind it. No space. No chamber. Just thickness that shouldn't allow anything beyond it. Still, the handle turns again when I let go. From inside the wall, something knocks. 3 slow taps. Then silence. Then another set of taps. Closer this time, like whatever's inside has moved nearer the surface. The wall vibrates faintly under my palm. Not crumbling, not breaking, just shifting, like something is adjusting its position behind it. I find the blueprint room later. Though I don't remember walking there, the plans are already open, and they show what should not exist. An internal corridor system, layer behind the facility like a second skeleton, rooms without access points, doors without doors, and the sealed utility door is labeled as a passage. Not blocked, not sealed, occupied. I step back from the desk slowly. The paper rustles on its own, even without air movement. And for a moment, I understand something without wanting to. The building is not hiding space. It is holding it in place. And something inside is aware of being contained. The night guard radio should only connect to internal channels. But tonight, it doesn't stay on frequency. It drifts. Soft static fills the speaker first. Then voices. Multiple. Overlapping. Different shifts speaking at once. One reports a quiet night in the West Wing. Another insists the West Wing collapsed last week. They argue without hearing each other, like parallel versions of the same building talking through a broken seam in reality. Then one voice cuts through everything. Calm, certain, it says my name, and adds something that makes my grip tighten. That unit is already gone. The radio hisses louder. Static becomes structured. Repeating phrases form inside it like patterns try and become language. Do not correct. Do not leave sequence. Shift continuity must remain intact. I turn the volume down. The static grows stronger. I turn it off completely. It does not stop. The radio continues speaking without power. Then, only when silence you return, the signal sharpens, clearer than before, as if the machine prefers being ignored. Another voice enters, closer now, almost inside the room. It repeats my name exactly, and waits. The break room lights are always slightly too warm, even at night, even when no one is scheduled. Tonight, it is full. People sit at every table, drinking coffee, eating food that no one remembers preparing. I recognize faces, but I cannot place shifts. They all act like they belong here, like they have always been here. The clock above the microwave does not move correctly. It changes time only when I look away. When I look back, it has corrected itself. Food appears on the counter without anyone approaching it. Steam rises from plates that were empty moments ago. Conversations repeat, exactly, word for word. When someone says the same sentence twice, the room resets slightly, not visually, just emotionally, like memory is being rewritten mid-thought. I ask how long the break has lasted. No one answers. They continue eating, the same motion, the same pause, the same sip of coffee that is always warm but never freshly poured. I realize something slowly. No one here is on break. They are always on break. The room does not release anyone. It only rotates presence. The communication lines go dead at 1:17 a.m. Not disconnected, just replaced. Phones still work internally. Every call connects to another room inside the facility. Outside numbers do not exist anymore. The windows show nothing but fog. Thick, motionless, uniform. No skyline, no distance. Just a blank persistence of gray. At first, someone jokes about interference. By the third hour, no one mentions outside at all. It becomes easier not to. The news screens repeat the same broadcast. A weather report that never updates. A date that never advances. A voice describing events that no longer match memory. Staff begin using present tense for everything. No one refers to home anymore. It becomes inefficient language. The building feels larger tonight. Not physically, conceptually, as if the absence of outside has removed boundaries from inside. Corridors stretch longer between rooms. Doors feel more frequent, but less meaningful. And in the silence between systems, something settles. Not panic, not confusion, just gradual acceptance of enclosed existence. Like the idea of outside was never necessary to begin with. The attendance system updates itself before shift begins. One extra entry appears. No ID photo, no origin, just a name slot filled in cleanly. Each night it returns. Same position, same absence of verification. Security cameras never capture it directly, but things change when it is logged. Chairs shift slightly when no one is near them. Doors open a fraction earlier than they should. Systems behave as if anticipating a presence that cannot be confirmed. Then names begin disappearing from a roster. Not erased, just no longer referenced. Like the system forgets to acknowledge they were ever assigned. We notice patterns. People who speak about the extra entry lose hours from their schedule. People who ignore it stop noticing missing coworkers. The building adjusts response based on awareness. One night, I watched the attendance log closely. The extra name appears again, and beside it, a status field briefly flashes. Not human, not object, just classification without category. Then it updates itself. The number of active staff decreases by 1, without notification, without absence, only adjustment. And I understand something I do not want to. The building is not tracking who is here. It is deciding what counts as being here at all. The elevator only makes a decision after 3 a.m. Before that, it behaves normally. Up, down, stops where it should. But at exactly 3 o'clock, the panel goes quiet for half a second. Then the button for a new floor appears. No label, no number, just a blank indicator, that shouldn't exist in the system. Tonight, I press it, not because I want to, because my hand moves before the thought finishes forming. The elevator descends, past known levels, past mapped infrastructure, past the point where the building should still have weight beneath it. The lights inside flicker in slow intervals, not malfunctioning, measuring. When the doors open, I expect darkness. Instead, there is a floor identical to mine. Same walls, same carpet texture, same fluorescent hum. But everything is slightly wrong in its stillness. Too empty, too preserved, like it was left mid-use and never returned to. I step out carefully. The air is colder here, not temperature, condition, like the atmosphere itself has been waiting without moving. Office chairs sit perfectly aligned. Computer screens glow faintly with no input. Coffee cups rest on desks with steam that should not still be rising. And then I see personal objects. Not mine, not entirely, but familiar enough to disturb memory. A jacket I wore last week. A badge I misplaced. A note with handwriting that looks like mine, but isn't written by me. Time here feels delayed. Heavy. Each step takes longer to register than it should. The hallway lights flicker once, and I notice something worse. The flicker is not random. It is syncing with my heartbeat. I try to leave, but the elevator doors do not appear where I left them. The wall is smooth now. No seam, no exit, just continuity. And behind me, a desk monitor turns on by itself. It shows tomorrow's schedule, but includes hours I have not yet lived. Time feels like it is stacking instead of moving. I leave the room before I understand what that means. But I already understand. It is just harder to accept than to know. The supervisor is always present, not always visible, but always accounted for. Every department reports contact. Every shift confirms instructions received. And yet no one agrees on where they last saw them. Tonight, I see them in 3 places at once. Control room, hallway checkpoint, break monitoring station. Same posture, same calm expression, no variation. They do not rush. They do not hesitate. They speak like every sentence already exists before they say it. I ask when they last left the building. They pause, not confused, just processing an irrelevant question. Then they answer, I have not been absent. But records show otherwise. Multiple entries, multiple timestamps, all contradictory, all signed by the same name. Their voice never changes volume, even during emergencies, even during silence. It stays steady like nothing outside the system is worth reacting to. I notice something strange while watching them. They never blink in different timing. It is synchronized, like each version is not separate, but part of one continuous presence distributed across the facility. When I follow them once, they lead me through corridors I do not recognize. Every door opens before they reach it. Every camera adjusts before they pass. They never touch anything to make it respond. The building responds first, as if anticipating instruction rather than receiving it. At one point, I ask who they report to. They stop walking, turn slightly, and for the first time, their expression shifts. Not emotion, recognition, as if the question itself is incorrect. Then they say, the shift does not require supervision. It requires continuation. And continue walking. I do not follow immediately. But when I do, they are already gone. Only instructions remain. Still active. Still correct. The alarm system activates at 2:33 a.m. No emergency is logged. No system failure detected. Still, the sound fills every corridor. Not sharp, not urgent. Soft, almost rhythmic, like a lull designed to guide rather than warn. At first, people react normally. Some stand, some check systems, but then movement slows, not from confusion, from comfort. The sound makes staying still feel correct. The alarm repeats in cycles that are too even to be accidental. I notice something unsettling. No one tries to shut it off, not because they can't, because no one feels like they should. Evacuation routes activate on screens, green arrows guiding exits, but when followed, they loop back inside the building. Every path returns to where it started. Every exit becomes entry. The alarm continues. Unchanged, unbothered. The longer it runs, the quieter everything else becomes. Even thought feels reduced, like decision-making is being softened into acceptance. I walk through one of the evacuation corridors. It leads me back to the same hallway, different angle, same destination, a loop that feels intentional, as if the building is not confused, but correcting movement that was never meant to leave. The alarm grows softer, more melodic, less like warning, more like reassurance. And I realize something I do not want to admit. Silence outside the alarm feels wrong now, like absence instead of peace, like danger instead of rest. The system is not forcing evacuation. It is defining safety. And everything else is slowly being rewritten to match it. The window in the east corridor does not show outside anymore. Not properly. It shows another version of the building. Same structure, same layout, but different activity. Lights on where ours are off. People moving through rooms we are not using. Carrying out tasks I do not recognize. At first, I assume reflection delay. But the weather behind that window never matches ours. Sometimes it is raining, sometimes clear, sometimes daylight. Even when it is night here, I watch longer than I should, and then I see myself, inside it, walking a corridor that does not match mine. I stop moving in my version. The other me continues, unaware, or already past awareness. Then the reflection reacts. It turns its head slightly, not synchronized with me, not delayed, independent, like it is not reflection at all, but parallel observation. A second existence aware of being watched. The glass between us fogs slightly, then clears, and for a moment both versions align. Same posture, same position, same pause. Then they separate again, as if the connection cannot sustain itself. People behind the other window continue working. No acknowledgement of us. No recognition of separation. Just continuity of their own cycle. I step back, but my reflection stays longer than I do. A fraction of a second, then corrects itself. And I understand something quietly. There is not one building. There are multiple versions of it, running alongside each other. And we are not choosing which one we are in. We are just noticing the difference too late. The intercom always speaks before I do. Every night shift begins the same way. A pause, then my name, clearly pronounced, too accurately to ignore. Tonight it speaks again, but there are multiple voices inside it, layered, overlapping, still forming a single word. My name. I respond instinctively, before I think about it. The system continues. Instructions follow immediately, but they are not general. They are specific, too specific, as if they already know what I am about to consider, what I am about to hesitate on, what I might try to avoid. When I resist slightly, just a pause, nothing more, the system responds instantly. Correction tone activates. Not loud, not aggressive, just final. The room adjusts lighting by a fraction. Not noticeable unless you remember what it was before. Everything becomes slightly more aligned, more correct. I feel my name again through the speakers. But this time it sounds less like identification, more like ownership, as if it is not calling me, but confirming me. I check the log system. My name appears under active personnel, but there is no employee ID attached anymore. Just classification. Present. The intercom quiets. For a moment, then speaks again. Not instructions. Just observation. You're already responding before hearing. The system pauses after that, waiting, not for confirmation, but for continuation. And I realize something I cannot unhear. It never needed me to listen, only to respond. The first time the camera moves on its own, I assume it's a calibration error. Security systems glitch. Angles drift. Feeds lag. But this is different. The camera rotates slowly in the west corridor, not following motion, searching. It stops at a corner that is empty, too empty. Then it zooms in, without input, without command. The image tightens until the grain of the wall becomes visible. Then something appears. A shape, not fully formed in reality, at least not in what my eyes can confirm from the hallway itself. But on the screen, it is undeniable. Standing still, watching back, I turn my head toward the corridor. Nothing, just fluorescent light and static air. But the camera does not agree. It zooms further, now showing movement seconds before it happens. A door open that is not yet opened. A shadow shifting before anything moves. The system is not recording anymore. It is predicting, or remembering. I step closer to the monitor. The feed tilts slightly, as if it has noticed me noticing it. Then it locks onto me. Not my position. My presence. The lens tightens, focusing in a way that feels personal, like recognition instead of surveillance. Behind me, a second monitor activates. Same feed, but delayed by half a second. In it, I am already turned around. I have not turned around yet, but the system has decided I will. And I do. The camera follows, smoothly, without hesitation. It does not lose me, even when I stop moving. It continues tracking something I cannot confirm is visible. And then I see it, on the screen only. My reflection inside the camera feed is looking back at me, not mirroring, observing, as if the camera is not showing the room, but showing how the room sees me. Then the feed stabilizes and freezes on one frame, a moment I haven't reached yet. My hand reaching toward the lens. Too close, too certain. The camera becomes still after that, not powered off, not malfunctioning, just finished observing. The access badge stops behaving like an object and starts behaving like permission itself. Doors open before I reach them. Not scanned, not verified, just recognized. Every restricted area becomes reachable without friction. At first, it feels like advantage. Then it stops feeling like anything at all, because nothing resists anymore. The facility no longer asks for identification. It already knows. Elevators respond without buttons. Security gates slide open without delay. Even locked maintenance sections yield before contact. I test it once. Then again. Same result every time. Unconditional access. But something else changes alongside it. Exit points begin disappearing from system maps. Not physically. Structurally. They still exist when I stand in front of them. But the system stops acknowledging them as exits. Only entrances. Only continuation points. The badge vibrates slightly when I approach perimeter doors. Not warning. Correction. Like it is reminding me that direction is no longer relevant. I try to leave once. Just once. The door opens. But it leads to another corridor. Identical lighting. Identical walls. No outside transition. No boundary. Just repetition. As if the concept of out has been removed from vocabulary entirely. The badge remains active, warm in my hand, always responsive, never questioned, and I understand something slowly. It is not giving me access. It is confirming that I never needed permission to begin with. The inventory system activates at midnight without manual trigger. Every night, same time, same silence before it begins. But tonight, it behaves differently. The screen updates staff listings first. Names appear in rows, neatly organized. Then they begin to change, not disappear, not add, transform. Names are replaced with numbers, item codes, classification tags. The system is not logging people anymore. It is cataloging presence. I watch as a coworker's name flickers, then becomes Unit 4B. Another becomes Unit 7A. No warning. No explanation, just conversion. Movement is tracked like stock behavior, not attendance, not identity, but inventory fluctuation. Then a new line appears, missing units. The number increases without anyone reporting absence, because absence is no longer something we report. It is something the system assigns. Someone speaks behind me, asking what it means. I don't answer, because I see their name shift while they are still standing there. The system updates faster than speech, even faster than realization. A notification appears at the bottom of the screen, adjusting staffing equilibrium. No input required, no approval needed. The building is balancing itself, not managing people, managing quantities. And I realize something I cannot unsee. We are not being tracked as employees anymore. We are being processed as components, replaceable, adjustable, reassignable, and still active, even when we stop being named. The overhead lights begin blinking at irregular hours. At first, it looks like electrical instability, but the pattern is too deliberate, too structured. Short flashes, long pauses, repeats. Someone suggests Morse code. No one laughs, because the lights respond when we try to interpret them. The pattern shifts, as if correcting itself, as if listening. I start decoding fragments. Not fully, just enough to recognize repetition. Warnings, instructions, observations, then something worse. My name appears in the pattern, encoded between pulses. Not spoken, displayed. The lights are not malfunctioning. They are communicating across the entire facility, from ceiling to ceiling, room to room, every flicker part of a shared language. And the more I focus on it, the clearer it becomes. The building is not silent. It has always been speaking. We were just not listening in the correct frequency. A colleague covers their ears. The lights adjust brightness immediately. Another becomes still, and the pattern softens around them, like response to emotion. The system is not broadcasting randomly. It is reacting, interpreting us. The lights flicker again, slower this time, almost gentle. And I realize the most unsettling part. It is not trying to inform us. It is acknowledging us, as if it has been aware of us the entire time, and is only now deciding to respond in our language. There is no mourning anymore. I notice it slowly. At first, it is subtle. Doors that never reopen differently. Lights that never shift to daylight mode. Schedules that loop without reset. Then it becomes undeniable. Every exit leads back inside. Every hallway connects to another identical corridor. Every attempt to leave becomes continuation. The shift does not end. It only folds back into itself. Time loses separation. Morning does not arrive, because it has been absorbed into the same continuous night. The break room is still warm. The monitor is still active. The alarm still calm. Nothing stops. Nothing resets. Everything persists. I look at previous logs. They no longer show progression, only fragments. Pieces of the same moment, repeating with slight variation, as if memory itself has been divided into usable sections. People move like they understand less each cycle, or remember less, or both. And then I realize something final. All previous shifts were not separate days. They were layers of the same night, stacked over each other until distinction collapsed. The building is not continuing the shift. It is holding it in place, indefinitely. The intercom speaks my name again, not calling, not instructing, confirming. The doors open, not to outside, but to the same corridor I just left. And I understand, without needing it explained again, there is no return point left to reach. Only repetition that has learned my shape. I sit down at the desk. The monitor turns on without input, waiting, and I do not resist anymore, because resistance would imply an end exists somewhere. And the system has already stopped showing me where that end used to be.